Hey, now I want to talk a little bit more about the vampires, and I'm going to be drawing from an old book that has been written by a Serbian scholar. I just forgot if it was Sretan Petrovic or if it was Cekanovic. But in any case, the name of the book is Stara Srpska Religija, meaning the old Serbian religion. Now, in this little chapter, he talks more about the vampire being connected with like the main divinity of the people. He is trying to, now what I'm going to present to you, you can make your own conclusion. This is from his point of view. This is an old ethnology researcher, or whatever you call them, those academics that do this kind of research. So he wrote his theories about the origin of the vampire. So he is saying that the reason that in some areas that the vampire is haunting his own family is because he is originally that family's god. I don't know if you remember, if you've seen my video about which spirits you can work with, where I explain that all these spirits and gods and goddesses are actually family spirits. First family spirits, and then they developed into a tribal spirits, then they developed into a national spirits, and that's how that thing went. So that's one of the theories, that he says that that's why the vampire haunts only them, and that's why there's a rule that the vampire can be killed only by a stranger, because they can't kill their own. The vampire can be he can transform himself into a wolf, and that's our werewolves. Actually, our werewolves are not like from the movies that they transform themselves into a two legs walking creature. That's not how it goes. It's an actual fucking wolf that people really used to go and take sacrifices, offerings to, especially in the wolf days, which is late fall somewhere. They would go and take one of their sheep and take it, just shoo it out into the forest as an offering to the wolf, so the wolf would leave the rest of the farm animals alone during the winter. But the whole connection with the wolf and the vampire is that the main deity was connected to a wolf. He was an actual wolf, a werewolf. And he was lame as well, meaning he couldn't walk straight. He was lame, and so is the werewolf. The vampire. He's like that too. The vampire goes a lot at the watermills. And we do know that the vampire doesn't eat flour. So he's over there drowning people for food for himself. That's why people always say back home to avoid those places at night. So he's saying that the explanation needs to be looked at because there's parallels between the vampire and the main divinity of the nation, which had a chthonic characteristic. So the main divinity is actually like a spirit of the dead, has to deal with that, and that's why it's connected to the watermills. And I've talked in another video about those water spirits that live there that also need a sacrifice in order to keep the mills running, in order to keep the fishermen happy, so they can fish, to allow them to fish, and that the rivers are connected to the dead and to the world of the dead. So another thing that he's saying is that people also used to leave food on a side for the vampire. Like when a family is eating, they would leave food on a side. Now, who else do we leave a food on a side for like that? We leave that for the ancestors. Um, and also that can be also showing that they were leaving him offerings in order for that spirit to leave them alone and not to bother them. Um, in some regions, there is information that is connecting the vampire with a horse, but it's always a black horse. And that is another connection also to the main god, that he's always connected to a black horse. We call those vranets, meaning crow. Vrana is a crow, so the horse being black like that, he's a vranets. So all these characteristics, what he's saying is, he's saying also that the Slavic god Svetovid has some similar characteristics to that. Other characteristics are that they have this cape that they're wearing, the the vampire, and the main god. And they're both great lovers. And they're both connected to the watermill. So he comes to a conclusion that this is probably demonized, the demonized old deity, because in our belief, a woman or a child cannot be a vampire. It's only a man. But that's only by us on the Balkan. There was somebody from Polish descent that said that by them over there is cases that they have heard of women also becoming vampires. But that's not the case by us on the Balkan when it comes to them. So I think that's it about the vampires. And if I find some more info through my books, I'll be back and I'll talk some more about it. Thanks.